Hello and welcome back to the Craft Your Comeback Show. This is a very special episode because it is our final episode of this series. I know it's very sad, but it's also great news because it means the book is finally coming out. So I put this series together to build up to the release and the launch of my book, Craft Your Comeback, Turning Setbacks into Advantages After Failures, Flukes, and F-Ups. So if you're watching this right now, it means the book is uploaded, ready to go, edited, laid out. It's very exciting. It was a long process, but I'm so happy to share it with you. I don't think you'll be disappointed after reading it. So please check it out when you get the chance. Now, before we get into that, I want to end this series on talking about what it means to find your lift hill moment in life and in business. And this is one of the key parts of the Craft Your Comeback framework. But before we dive into that, I want to let you know that I'm going to be launching a Craft Your Comeback read-through podcast, where I'll be reading the entire book from start to finish, one episode at a time. So that's going to be coming out soon. The reason why I'm doing that is because I need to put my book on Audible, and I figured this would be a great way to force myself to record the audiobook. And if I have some purpose and some reason to do it, it's a way to be accountable and to actually get things done. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm putting it together, and it'll be fun to read through the book with you. So more on that coming soon. So now let's get into finding your lift hill moment. So this is a concept that I talk about in the book, and I believe it's one of the secrets to crafting a successful comeback. So we've heard over the years, you need to find your passion, or as Simon Sinek says, find your why, right? And other gurus out there, they often say that. And, I like to refer to that as a driving force over the why, the force that drives you to do certain things. It's very important. It's like that seatbelt that keeps you buckled in on the roller coaster ride. So you need to have a big why, a big driving force. We've talked about this in the past. Now, your driving force is different from your lift hill moment. So I'm bringing them both up so we can differentiate. So the driving force, that is the big why. And it's very important in entrepreneurship because if you don't have a strong enough reason to pursue your entrepreneurial endeavor, you're gonna fall off that roller coaster ride when it gets too intense, right? You're gonna give up most likely. Like I said, it's that seatbelt that keeps you strapped into the ride. And it's the very first thing when you sit down on the roller coaster, right? And it's a very important part of getting on the roller coaster ride because without it, you're gonna fall off. And that's the metaphor I like to use. I use it throughout the book. Entrepreneurship is like a roller coaster ride. I know it's a little cliche, but it's really the best way to explain it, in my opinion. So without your why, without your driving force, you're gonna fall off. Because there's no reason for you to keep going when things get tough. And money is not a strong enough driving force because money comes and goes in a flash too. Believe me, I know that more than anyone. And it might not even come to you when you're running your business for a while. So money itself is not a good enough reason to keep going. So that's your driving force. Now, your lift hill moment is a little different, okay? These are, as it states, moments that happen to you throughout your endeavor. So going back to that cliche roller coaster ride, lots of ups and downs and twists and turns, that can get very intense, muy intensivo. The lift hill, you all know it, it's the first part of the ride. It's the click, 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 click. It brings you up to the top. So it brings you up to the top of the ride so you can enjoy the experience. Now, my boyfriend is a high school physics teacher, so he actually explained it to me from a physics standpoint, and I just loved it. And he was saying, how the top of the hill of a roller coaster, that's your peak energy. So that's the most energy in the entire system at the top. That's why it's the tallest part. It needs to give you enough momentum to keep pushing you through the low parts. Are you following me? The lift hill gives you enough energy to bring you throughout the ride. The top of the lift hill is where the most energy is, and it carries you throughout the roller coaster ride. Each moment, right? Think of a moment as one of the clicks. That's bringing you closer to the top of the ride. So a lift hill moment, to put simply, is a moment to gain energy, inspiration, and momentum. It's all about energy to keep going. The why, or the driving force, that keeps you buckled in safely. Think of that as the bigger overall reason to keep going. Your big why, that's the internal motivation, whereas lift hill moments, they're usually external. So if you have a strong driving force, you're securely buckled in and able to handle the intensity of the roller coaster ride. But the lift hill moment, it gets you up there, right? Click by click by click. And it's something that we all must find when we're running a business, when we're starting a business. Those moments in our lives that inspire us to keep moving forward, that keep the clicking upward. They lift us up more and more to sometimes start the ride, but also just to keep going on the ride, as I've been mentioning. So in the book, Craft Your Comeback, I talk about several lift hill moments that I've been through. One of them being pitching my business to Kevin O'Leary and Robert Herjavec on Dragon's Den. That was a Canadian version of Shark Tank. That was an amazing experience that inspired momentum in my vending venture. I was even called a cockroach by Kevin O'Leary. Here's a quick little clip of it.
So AJ and Christina, let's just summarize what happened here today.
Okay.
You've learned today that you are cockroaches in an industry that is really established and is going to crush you. Do something else. End of story.
Another one of my lift hill moments was receiving a $20,000 angel investment from one of my customers at a Starbucks that I used to manage. Now, those are big lift hill moments, right? And lift hill moments do not have to be that big or grandiose, and they probably won't be for you. Maybe they will be. But a lift hill moment, it could be your life partner encouraging you to keep at it with the business, right? Like, honestly, babe, I can't wait for you to grow your business. That can be a moment that you take and you treasure that can spark inspiration and that can help you to keep pushing forward. Now, I get that not everybody can go on Shark Tank or get a $20,000 investment from a customer at a coffee shop they work at. Maybe I'm just lucky that way, but I think it's more so me always just putting myself out there in these moments, mixed with a little bit of a luck. But that's why I'm stressing that it doesn't have to be this big thing. It can just be a little comment from your partner or some other small wins. Whatever inspires you and motivates you to keep going, that's your lift hill moment. So when they happen, take a moment, look at it, acknowledge it. Yes, that's great. Sit with it for a minute. This is very important with entrepreneurship. It gets lonely, it can get intense, it can get tough. That's why lift hill moments are so important. I actually brought up that lift hill moment about your partner saying something encouraging because my boyfriend has done things and said things like that still inspire me to this day. Months later, I still think about them, and it helps me to kind of push through and remember that I'm on this journey and I'm on this ride, and these moments are helping me get up to the top. Now, if you can't think of a lift hill moment that has happened to you lately, that's okay, or if you're thinking, but nothing's truly inspiring you or lifting you up, then I encourage you to create a lift hill moment. I'll give you an example of a lift hill moment that I created actually a year ago now. That's actually what inspired me to write this episode. This is when I wrote this episode. It's just coming out now. But I was in Austin, Texas. I was there for a conference and I was flying back to Boston, and I was on the airline app and it said that I could upgrade to first class for $91. That's awesome. At that point, it was a while since I flew first class, and I used to get upgraded pretty frequently back when I was traveling a lot with my last business. So I see this upgrade option, and at first I was like, I don't know, should I do it? It's $91. And then I thought about it, and I said, this could be a great lift hill moment. I should definitely do it. This could inspire me to work hard, so a first class ticket will be the norm for me soon enough. It was a taste of what my life will be like in the future. So I did. I upgraded. And I actually upgraded. It was just for one half of the trip, which I didn't realize. There was a layover in Chicago. So I was in first class for the first half. It felt amazing. And then from Chicago onward to Boston, I was in coach. So why this was a lift hill moment for me? Like I said, I used to get upgraded to first class quite a bit when I was traveling frequently, when I had my Karma Box business, and that made me feel great. That sort of thing, it's important to me. It might not be important to you. You might think it's nuts. You might want to get it, and it might be something you're intrigued by, but I wanted to be in first class, not just because I'm 6'3" and a bigger guy, and coach is very uncomfortable for me, but because first class is the lifestyle that I aspire to have. So it was a moment for me to really just push myself to new heights with my business so I can be in first class all the time and bring my family on first class and that sort of thing. It was a beautiful lift hill moment that I created, and it was great being in coach for the second part because it just reaffirmed that I don't really want to be in coach. You hear me? An entrepreneur I really admire and respect. His name is Alan Weiss. He wrote a book called $1 Million Consulting. I highly recommend you check that out. He actually spoke about how he always just booked first class even when he was very broke earlier on in his business. And I believe it probably is a similar situation. It put him in this mindset. So that was his lift hill moment as well. So I just wanted to do that little call out because when I read his book, $1 Million Consulting, he talks about that. So what lift hill moment are you going to create? Maybe it's planning a nice little vacation so you can recharge, or a weekend retreat in the woods at a cabin you rent via Airbnb. Whatever it is, you should be constantly looking for the lift hill moments of inspiration to bring you to that top of the ride so you can enjoy it. I encourage each and every one of you to take some time to reflect on the lift hill moments in your life and just sit with them and acknowledge them and be grateful for them. Think about them, even write them down. And if none of them come to mind, maybe it's time you create your own lift hill moment so you can get back on top of that ride. Because you deserve it. You deserve that much needed momentum. So go get it. Thank you so much for watching. It has been such a pleasure putting on this series for you. I really enjoyed it. And we're not done. I'm going to have a lot more videos. It's not going to be the Craft Your Comeback show, but there are other things cooking. Check out my website, keepgoinghq.com, for the latest and greatest content. And remember, wherever you are along your journey, please just keep going. You got this. Take care.